I was not paid to promote any products or make this video, but I would like to thank MACkite for lending me their demo gear. A link to MACkite can be found in the description. This is Go Foil's NL190. Today we're going to see how it performs on the lake. In a previous video, I provided 10 impressions I had while assembling the Go Foil. I'll include those in a link in the description and at the end of this video. In summary, this is a simple setup with only 4 screws with a very nice fit and finish. The NL190 plan shape is similar to wings I'm familiar with and have foiled with before. I enjoy an aspect ratio of 7. I feel like that's when a wing becomes high aspect and when I really start to notice the higher lift slope, which means small changes in angle of attack yield big changes in lift force. I set up the Axis 910 as a comparison. The 910 has a similar wing area, each are around 1300 square centimeters in horizontal area. These 3 wings all have similar aspect ratios of between 6.5 and 8.4, and as I was able to select an Axis mast, fuselage, and rear wing to closely mimic the 2 Go Foil setups. I find high aspect ratio wings harder to water start than low aspect ratio wings. I feel like the NL190 was easier to water start than the P180 for that reason. Note that I'm only using an 11-liter board, so I really need the wing to help plane at very low speeds to help raise the board out of the water quickly. Dominic Hoskins, an experienced Go Foil rider, pointed out that I should try pumping the NL wings with smaller pulses. I found this technique to be very helpful in terms of converting energy and maximizing pumping duration. It may not look it, but I felt tired after pumping this wing. I am finding that the right pumping technique takes time to find, and there isn't one size that fits all. I believe the NL190 was the nicest to wake transfer, and this might be to 2 reasons. The first being the slight anhedral shape to the wing that directs the lift force at the tips upward during a carve, and the second might be the winglets, which help reduce induced drag and lock in the carve. The carve felt very locked in and lifty. I felt like I didn't need to pump as often or as with much energy through the curve as compared to the flatter high aspect ratio wings with less anhedral shape and no winglets like the P180 and the Axis 910. I like to test a wing to see if it can surf the second wake of my jet ski without any pumping. The NL190 was unable to do that, but nor was the P180 nor the Axis 910. At my weight of 190 pounds or 86 kilograms, I need larger wingspan, higher area, and or higher aspect ratio wings to surf the second wake. This Go Foil setup has an 18-inch flat rear wing. That's about 46 centimeters. It's a nice high aspect ratio rear wing that allows me to deliver a solid heaving force, which I believe is important to move the foil forward during a pump. Yet it's a low enough drag shape to not slow you down too much. I don't usually take a wing at a very high speed, but I wanted to try it out. I felt this wing was very stable. Its thickest point on the foil cross-section is further back from the leading edge than I'm used to, and I found that made it stable and locked it into the glide. While I don't normally ride at high speeds, I thought this could really showcase one of the wing's best attributes, a stable and locked-in glide, which I would think would be good for winging. So with that, I headed back to the dock to do some bungee launches. We're testing takeoff speed and stall speed. We're using the same bungee to launch each wing with the same starting pull force of 95 pounds. And today we're using the Ride Engine Escape Pod. At 4 foot 8 inches and 45 liters, it has more buoyancy than my Dwarf Craft 3 foot 6, and this will help get these smaller foils planing sooner. This takeoff speed and stall speed matters for winging, as the wind only has so much energy to pull the foil to its takeoff speed. And it also matters for surfing, because when you lose control and need to regain speed by pumping back up to the wake, the lower the stall speed, the more time you have to react and pump back to the wave. I will pause the video at the point of lift when I see the black painted tail of the board, so it makes it easier to compare when each foil takes off. Since all these tests had the same pull force of 95 pounds at the start, I really felt like the Axis 910, Go Foil P180 and NL190 had very similar takeoff locations. While these wings all came out of the water at the same time, I found that the Axis 910 was the only comfortable wing at this very low speed. I felt like I had to be careful with the P180 and very careful with the NL190 to stay within what seemed to be a narrow range of angle of attack, while the Axis 910 was quite comfortable at that speed. However, you can see here that the Axis 1150 really is in a class of its own. It wanted to take off nearly as soon as I left the dock. And this really wasn't surprising given its larger wingspan and area compared to these other high aspect ratio wings. The NL190 was another fun product review. This Go Foil was nice to carve and wake transfer. The wing lifted nicely through the carve and was less effort to pump. Like the P180 and the Axis 910, I wasn't able to surf the second wake without pumping. At my weight, wings of this size and shape just don't have enough lift to push me behind a tiny jet ski wake. With the same starting force, I found the takeoff location to be similar among these three wings, but I found the Axis 910 easiest to launch on the bungee. I find the Axis 910 best at saving me from low speed stall with a small effortless pump. The NL190 has its max thickness further behind from the leading edge than most wings, and I felt like that might be why this wing was so locked in at high speeds. A small pitching action would cause most other wings to rise or fall suddenly, but not the NL190. While there are other subtleties of the NL190, it compared reasonably well to the P180 and the Axis 910, and I would not feel it necessary to replace my Axis 910 with the NL190. However, the NL190 was a fun wing and is yet another wing I can recommend for the lake.